All guests appearing via the Boardwalk Honda hotline, like John Clark from NBC Sports Philadelphia. He spoke with Bryan Colangelo at the Philadelphia airport, apropos for John. And he tells John that he stands by his ringer statement and is, quote, fully unaware of anything related to the messages from the 5 burner accounts. John asked him if he had any knowledge of the tweets of who sent them. He told John, 0. John, welcome aboard, pal. How are you?
I am doing great. I wish I was down the shore today. You guys are lucky.
The weather's all right. Not great.
Hey, it's muggy and humid up here in Philly.
It's muggy and humid here, too. It's supposed to rain tomorrow, so I would tell
go jump in the ocean.
I would tell you to tell everybody else up there, don't come down this weekend. Spare us.
No. Yes. Not looking good. But today I'd be right in that ocean, riding some waves.
So yesterday you might have been wishing you were at the ocean, but you were doing your job and
Johnny Airport.
You were doing your job like you normally do, and you were at the airport and you ran into one Bryan Colangelo. Looked like a guy who is shell shocked. Looked like a guy who has the walls crawling in on him. What'd you see?
Yeah, I mean that's a good description. And he did not want to do an on-camera interview. But he talked to me for a little bit, and he was just getting back into town for the first time since all of this came out. So he said he needed to do some looking into everything. But the question that, the first 2 questions that I really wanted answered, and you just said one of them, you've already said that you did not send any of the messages, but did you know that any of the messages were being sent? And he said no, 0. He had no idea. So, do I take him at his word? I'm not sure. He looked me in the eye and he said he had 0 knowledge that any of those messages were being sent. So I might buy that. I might believe that. I mean, ESPN is reporting that Colangelo has discussed with management that it could possibly be his wife that was sending out these. And I could see that he did not know that she was doing that. But no matter what, I don't see how he can survive this because the trust and credibility is gone.
Right. So it seems that, you would know. You talked to him. Was he brief? Was he just trying to John, I don't want to talk? Was he just kind of giving you the one-word answers?
No. He was surprised to see me there. We found out that he was coming in, and I wanted to go give him an opportunity to tell Philadelphia what's going on here.
Mm-hmm.
We haven't gotten a whole lot of information, and I'm interested. Sixers fans are interested. So, he said he will tell anybody and everybody that he did not send any messages and he did not know those messages were being sent. So I think he was coming back into town, probably going to meet with the Sixers and somebody who possibly could have sent the messages out. And he's trying to get a hold of everything and learn everything. And, the Sixers are investigating him, and I think he's got some research to do.
Yeah, so he sent a text to Jordan Schultz of Yahoo basically saying, I'm being set up here. So he's gone from being set up to it could possibly be my wife, right? Is that the timeline that you have too? And did you speak to him before or after the stuff about his wife came out?
I spoke to him. It's interesting because we've seen all the stuff on Twitter. There's a lot of really good Twitter detectives here in Philadelphia that have unearthed some stuff that would possibly connect those Twitter accounts to his wife. And then, when ESPN in their reporting late last night, when they report from trusted reporters at ESPN that Colangelo has discussed with the Sixers the possibility his wife was involved somehow with the messages. So now that is a credible report saying that. I didn't get a chance to ask him that. I don't know if I would have been as comfortable in that setting where he just has a quick couple minutes asking him about that. But look, I think no matter what here, if it was his wife or somebody close to him and he did not know, the problem is the information that he was telling her still got out there. Private company business. They say in the mafia, family business. You can't let family business out there, and they let that out there.
Can we, though? All right, let's try to connect some dots here. I want to get into your mind because you talked to the guy. You said he's shaking. He's visibly a little shaken by this. Can we, though, believe if it's his wife or anybody he knows that he wouldn't know? Because I have a hard time with that, thinking Dietrich, the reporter, calls the Sixers to ask about the two accounts, right? And then whoever goes to Colangelo asks about the two accounts. Then the accounts go dark, from public to private. If Colangelo didn't know anything about the other three accounts, wouldn't he have to tip somebody off to say, hey, I just got called about those accounts, you better do something, which would essentially mean he knows about the accounts, don't you think?
Yeah, that's a really great question, and that's the hang-up that I have about everything. My thing is there could be a scenario. I believe that his wife worked in PR in the NBA. She might be media savvy, tech savvy. Maybe he at some point asked her, like, hey, I need to set up a Twitter account to monitor all my players, monitor all the news going on. Can you help me with that? Maybe she did that. Maybe she set up that first Twitter account for him. And then
the Philo 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, you're saying?
Yes.
Okay.
And then, maybe she sets up some other accounts. And then when all this goes down and he gets a call, maybe he calls her or a close family member or a friend and says, hey, what's going on with this? And then they close them down. I mean, yeah, there's lots of scenarios. And that is the one thing that I can't get past, that those three accounts went dark when the Sixers and he were informed. And that's a sticking point. And that's got to be answered. But, no matter what happened here, his feelings were put out there by somebody. And the trust and credibility with the players, medical information, coaches, everybody that he was talking about and criticizing too, in some way, that got out there. And I don't think that trust and credibility could be repaired.
And, John, I'm sure you've seen the reports that the recovery passwords and the phone number ends in 9-1 and her phone number ended in 9-1 and all these connecting of the dots. And Mike and I went back and forth trying to envision a scenario where it could be just maybe some hinky-eyed or some disgruntled employee, like let's say like in Entourage where Ari always treated his assistant so poorly that Colangelo had an assistant, he just, napalmed the guy left and right. And so this guy wanted to have an axe to grind. If that was the case, well, a guy like that, why would he follow the Colangelo's kids' college account or the basketball team? I mean, those are the things that are layer upon layer. Don't you agree?
Absolutely. It's connected to him somehow, it seems. It really does seem that way. That's the perception. And I agree with you. It would take an awfully diabolical person to do this for 2.5 years and then somehow set him up. So, yeah, look, I mean, it seems like these accounts are all somehow related to him and somehow connected to him, and his opinions and information that he had about the company was let out there through there. So in any sense, I just don't see how we can go forward with him running the Sixers because, over the next month, you're going to try to convince people to come here. And there's a lack of trust and credibility right now.
John, what did you make of the Discus accounts, the Jacob Rubin accounts? Is that connected to him as well, do you believe?
Well, if it's somebody that's close to him, yeah. I mean, they're all related. It seems like they are all related. That is the perception. And it definitely comes back to him.
Because those are much more in depth.
There's a connection.
Those are much more in depth than the tweets, because obviously the tweets you only get so many characters,
right.
And I guess you go back 2 years, you only got 180 characters. Now you get 240.
Yeah.
So the comment sections that aren't getting the publicity because they weren't part of the National Ringer story, those were even way more in depth.
Yeah, that's pretty damning as well. But my opinion is, I just don't see why Bryan in his position would spend 2.5 years taking all this time to go on all these message boards if he was trying to get out his message. Because if he's trying to get out his message, all he has to do is give a story to a writer or two in town or a trusted national writer. That's the way old school basketball guys do it. And he was brought up by his father, Jerry Colangelo. They know how the game is played. So in the end, if he's trying to get his message out, it really didn't get out. I mean, putting those messages on the message board or putting information on Twitter, those Twitter accounts are not followed by a whole lot of people. Am I correct? So we never heard that message get out. I had never heard of these Twitter accounts before the Ringer story came out. So if the whole goal is to get a message out there,
right,
that was not a way to do it. That's why it doesn't make sense to me that he would order somebody to go put all these things out there, because they weren't even getting out there. No one ever took any of that information and reported it as a story. No one.
Right. That's why, we asked earlier, what was the risk reward? You're replying to people on Twitter who had had no following. I mean, yeah, he replied to Pompey a few times and Bodner a few times, but he's replying to Joe Schmo, who's got 14 followers, and getting into an inflammatory Twitter argument with a guy whose message your message isn't getting to anybody. So the risk reward is what? And it just seems that he had this built-in insecurity it's got to be about the previous regime.
Yeah, there's definitely motive with that. But I'm just telling you, it's my belief that he did not know these were being put out there. It's obviously somebody very close to him who they were speaking with him about all these things. But I don't picture Bryan Colangelo ordering somebody close to him, hey, put this out there, put this out here, put this out here. Because if he wanted to do that, all he has to do is pick up the phone or tell one of these national writers who break all the stories, and they'll put it out there.
Not to mention, John,
that's the game. What?
Not to mention, from what I understand that people have told me is that when he was in Phoenix, he would call into the radio stations all the time, hearing stuff that he was kind of wanting to rebut. Yet when he came here, he said that he was going to be transparent and that if you wanted to talk to him, my phone's open. You can have me on anytime you want. That hasn't happened. So he has done it in the past where he picked up and called a radio station to get his message out, but he didn't do that here.
No. And look, this is what makes the story so crazy and can't figure it out, because there's tons of motive. You can see why some person could be led to do that, and it becomes a sickness putting all that stuff out there. And on the other hand, I say to myself, he was a Cornell-educated guy, grew up in a family like the Colangelos, who are extremely respected in basketball. I mean, I believe Jerry Colangelo is a billionaire. So it's like, what is he getting out of all this? I'm just telling you, if he was so insecure about Sam Hinkie and everybody else getting credit, and okay, the Raptors situation didn't end well and he did not get enough credit there, why wouldn't he plant these stories with nuggets of information where it'll actually get to all the people with national writers or local Sixers writers? That's where it just doesn't make sense to me. Why would he argue back and forth with a guy who has an egg profile on Twitter and 5 followers? It does not make sense to me.
Yeah.
Johnny Clark with us, Johnny Airport, as I call him. Great job by you to get that one-on-one conversation and track Bryan Colangelo down. And you're also one-on-one tonight with certain Philadelphia sports royalty, right? What are you doing with Carson Wentz tonight?
Oh, yeah. Well, Carson Wentz is having a charity softball game at Citizens Bank Park for his AO1 Foundation. And he's basically got almost all the Eagles out there. He's going to be a coach. Jordan Hicks is a coach. And they've got a roster of I can't even tell, 25 to 30 Eagles or something like that. And it shows you the support that Carson has on the team. And once again, he's doing something amazing, trying to raise money. And Carson, I tell you, I don't think there's anybody in this city that you want at the forefront more than Carson Wentz for the things that he does and the people that he helps. And this is a young kid, a couple years into the league, already has figured out this and trying to give back and reaching a lot of people. So it's going to be a fun night, hopefully. They should have had Doug Peterson out there, though, because he threw out the first pitch and then he won the hitting contest with his rookies. He's the real stud of the deal, right?
Right. Hey, by the way, how long did you talk to Colangelo? Was it multiple questions? Was it 30 seconds? I mean, was there a lot of back? How long?
I'd say I probably talked to him for 3 minutes.
Yeah.
3 or 4 minutes.
Got a couple. So you got a couple questions in there?
Yeah, he was respectful. I just told him I'm trying to get the truth out there. I'm trying to get answers for the people of Philadelphia because they're worried about how this is going to affect the Sixers and going forward, what this is going to do to the organization and trying to get free agents to come here and players that want to play here. So he understood that, and I just don't see this ending well for him.
No.
I don't see how he can move forward, and that's the bottom line. It's just too much has been done, especially the trust and credibility with the people that work under him. I mean, that's the key thing here, and people trying to attract free agents to come here.
John Clark, NBC Philadelphia. We'll keep the shore nice and clean for you. Let us know when you're coming down, pal.
You got it. Thanks a lot, guys.